What's going on, guys? Welcome back to your Lake Fork Guide. Something is about to happen to all of our lakes across the South, including Lake Fork, that's going to make things challenging, going to make things different. In fact, this has already started happening. There's nothing you can do to stop it. We're going to talk to you about it today, give you some good bass fishing tips for dealing with fish under some of the toughest conditions and still catching them bigs. Summer to fall transition is going to be one of the toughest times of year for most people. Most people are going to struggle to catch fish. When you're talking about fall turnover, that's another aspect that happens during this. Summer to fall transition covers a little wider range. The fall turnover is more of a little narrow range, like a 2-week period, sometimes 3 weeks. Depends on the weather, different things. We'll tell you about all that tonight. But, man, this is a challenging time of year, but don't be disheartened, guys. In a lot of ways, this situation simplifies things and in some ways makes it even easier to target the fish. They're a little bit more hard to get to bite sometimes, but when you understand how it works and what these fish do and how to capitalize on that, it's actually one of the most predictable and easiest times of year for you to go catch some really big bass. So that's what we're going to get into today. What's going on right now? It's been hot. Obviously, it's still hot. Okay. The daylight period has cued these fish to change their behaviors. If you noticed in the video we posted Monday, we talked about how guys have been catching, the weigh-ins have been taking 25 pounds to win, to 30 pounds to win, 28 pounds to win at these, 3-hour weeknight tournaments with all those hammers that fish it. But the last 2 weeks, it went down to 15, and then this week it went down to 12. What is going on? What's making these fish change? The weather's the same, guys. It's hot. It's still hot. It's still the same weather. These fish should be doing the same thing. Why all of a sudden are guys struggling to catch these fish? Why have the fish moved? Why are they doing something different? Why are they behaving differently? The answer is the daylight period. The daylight period cues these fish to go into different patterns in different areas and start behaving a little differently whenever the days start getting shorter, which they now are. Okay, they know what's coming. They know the lake's going to turn over. They know they're going to have some cool weather ahead of them. So they start kind of changing where they go. Now, right now, what's happening, this is kind of the tough. It's like the pre-turnover. We're starting to go into that summer to fall transition, but it's still really summer and will be for another month or two or whatever, depending on the crazy Texas weather. This is kind of the tough time. These fish are a little bit scattered out. They're not grouped up as good as they were a few weeks ago. They're a little bit harder to locate. They're more in random areas. So a lot of junk fishing comes into play right now, a lot of brush piles and docks and things like that. And scoping's going to be your best friend right now because you can pick off the one-off fish, and that's kind of how they're positioned right now. But what will happen when these lakes start turning over as the daylight period gets shorter, watch what I tell you, even if the air temps don't cool off, the longer nights will start cooling the water temps off a little bit at a time, very slowly. And then once we get one little cool down, it'll accelerate that process and you'll get a lake turnover. If you don't know what a turnover is, throughout the summer, we have less oxygen in the water. The hotter the water gets, the less oxygen content it can hold. There's a bottom area of the lake that loses oxygen. You'll see it as haze on your graph. Like right now, it's like 22, 23 feet. You'll see that haze below that line on Lake Fork or other lakes in the area. When the surface temperature gets as cool or colder than the bottom water, the water in 30 feet, well, colder water is more dense, so it goes and kind of churns the lake up, and it brings that deoxygenated water, and all the muck and stuff from the bottom comes up with it. Okay, and the muck's not really the issue. It's a telltale sign, but all the junk you see floating there in turnover is not really the problem. The problem is when that deoxygenated water churns in with the rest of the water, it takes the entire oxygen content of the water column and decreases the oxygen content. That's going to make these fish feel worse. So that's why these fish kind of behave differently, and a lot of them run from it. So when the lake actually turns over, fish will go to the bank and scatter out. Now, where could you go on a lake that's going to reduce this effect? The very back of a creek does not have enough depth for those fish to experience turnover. Like when you get way back in a creek, there ain't 20 foot of water for 2 miles. There's no turnover happening, guys. None. It's not going to happen. So when that occurs, there's no deoxygenation of that area of water. Those fish are going to behave and feed in a more predictable and more aggressive manner. It's very important for you to understand this because it's not just about getting to the bank. You can go to the bank and catch some fish all along the lake when it turns over and they scatter along the bank, yes. But those fish are still dealing. When you're out there on the main lake near the area where it churned up, that oxygen level has been reduced. In the back of a creek, when you're 2 miles from 20 foot of water, 2 miles from thermocline, there's no reduction of the oxygen level. So those fish, they're just doing what they do. They're not the easiest to catch in the world. They're still into summer fish, but they are a million times better than the rest of the fish on the lake. And nobody fishes for them. Like, let me tell you, when I say nobody, I mean nobody fishes for these fish, okay? As far as how to catch them, it's basic stuff. They're eating shad. They're eating a little bit of brim, okay, back in those creeks. So you can throw swim baits, chatter baits, especially if you got some wind. Buzz baits in the morning, top waters early in the morning are good. Weightless plastics, if it's calm and they're not biting the top water, go weightless plastics with a fluke or a Senko, wacky worm, whatever your preference is. Lots of different ways to catch them back there. It's just kind of normal fishing as far as the techniques. One thing I will say, once you hit the turnover, when the rest of the lake turns over, when it starts to move past that, the size of the shad that they start keying on goes dramatically down. There is a thing that happens in September time frame every year, and it carries through into October. They'll get on these little bitty shad, and you'll hear us talk about it a lot over the next couple months because that's the time period we're coming into. They'll get on these big schools of little bitty shad. So I throw a lot of small baits, like 1/4 ounce spinnerbait with little bitty willow blades, great bait selection. Little 3-inch swim baits with a little 1/0 underspin owner flashy swimmer hook, great bait selection. So I start trying to mimic small shad once I get past the turnover. But right now, leading up to it, and as you go through the turnover, okay, 100% throw big baits. Like we've been talking about, fish are very energy efficient in their food selection right now. They make decisions on what to bite based on how much return do I get on my investment of energy? Do I get a lot of calories for the amount of energy it takes? So big 10, 12-inch ribbon tail worms, swim baits 6 inches, chatter baits that have a good big profile, spinner baits with a big profile, all these types, big square bills if you don't have a lot of grass in the area, things like that. These are the kind of going to be what you want to key in on right now. And then once you hit turnovers, you move away from turnover, you're going to want to flip and go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum and really downsize your baits. That's going to be the big key on those fish after the turnover. And that will increase more and more throughout the month of September. And right around the 1st of October, that's when that's really going on, usually. And then somewhere in the middle of October, they'll flip and start eating bigger shad again. And I don't know why exactly they do that. I've seen it years and years and years, like over and over and over again. I've seen it. I'm not real sure why they do that, but they do it. And a bass is a lot like your wife. Sometimes you just best not to argue, if you know what I mean. All right, so in summary, for right now, offshore is still good till we hit that turnover, but those fish are going to be scattered. Understand that. If you only pick one off a brush pile, even though you graft a lot of life, that's fine. If you only pick one off a hump, even though you graft a lot of life, that's okay. That's kind of how they're going to behave right now. It's going to be grindy on the offshore deal right now. If you're good at scoping, it's going to give you a better chance. No doubt about it. Can't deny that. As we go forward, when you start to see the telltale signs of turnover, I don't think we ever went over that. The telltale signs of turnover are a lot of bubbles. You see bubble like frog, like when you run your boat through there, the bubbles kind of linger and stay for a long time. And brown colored water in Lake Fork and other lakes around here, you see these, they look like big jellyfish. I forget, I'm drawing a brain fart on what the name of a bryozoan colony, the bryozoan colony. It looks just like a big jellyfish body without all the tentacles, and it floats up. Well, those are actually living organisms that attach themselves to the base of trees and debris and brush. And when the lake turns over, it brings those up. So it's common to see some of those happen, especially after a rain or something, to see some of those break loose and float up. But if you're seeing quite a few of them in an area, or you're seeing a lot, that's a telltale sign of turnover in this time of year. Guys, the turnover can only happen as we cool going from summer to fall. I hear people reference spring turnover, not a thing. You have to have thermocline to have a turnover. I'm not saying the lake doesn't get stirred up and churn the water up in the spring, especially with big rains that we have that time of year, but that's what you're seeing there. You're not seeing a lake turnover. The lake can't turn over in the wintertime. The cooler water, is warming up. The surface temperatures are warming. So the colder water is already on the bottom. It ain't going to flip. And the hot water is not flipping the cold water. It's only when you're cooling that you can experience a turnover, and you need a thermocline to have a real, what we call a turnover, where it deoxygenates the water and does all the things we've been talking about. So that's only going to happen this time of year. All the water, all of a sudden, with No rain happening. All of a sudden, the water gets dirty brown. That's a telltale sign of turnover. Lots of bubbles that just stay around. I mean, it'll be pretty obvious. I see people talk about it a lot, and it's like, yeah, there's some bubbles. That's just stagnant water from it being hot. Like, it'll be a lot of bubbles floating around the lake, like bubble trails. Your boat will leave a big bubble trail that lasts a long time when you're idling around, things like that. But the brown color on top, the brown film, and then those bryozoan colonies, those big jelly sacks, when you see those, that's telltale sign turnovers happening. When that's happening, you need to get off the offshore stuff, leave it alone altogether. The fish that are out there are going to be the ones feeling the worst, the least active. That's where the oxygen decrease is hitting them the hardest. So get up on the bank, and my recommendation is to get your butt to the back of a big, long creek where there's a lot extended area of shallow water, 20 foot of water, a mile plus away. That's where you want to be. Those fish aren't affected by it. You can still fish the big baits right up to the turnover and even during the turnover. One of my favorite baits to fish during turnover. If I don't have a big creek to get in, I can't find them back there, I'm just going down the main lane bait, covering water. Maybe my favorite bait, as long as the vegetation content allows me to get away with it, is a square bill, a hard thumping square bill, something to drive a lot of reaction bites. That's another tip. Well, we're just rolling them out here. Another tip for that time of year when the fish don't feel as good and don't want to bite as good, go one of two ways. Go extremely finesse, go extremely reactive. Either, if you know, it's hard to do the finesse thing during the turnover or around it because the fish scatter out. And the fish finesse properly, you have to slow down. And the idea of that is when fish really don't want to bite, you get a finesse bait in their face, keep it there a long time, tease them into biting. That's hard to do when fish are scattered around, right? Like, you're going to run the risk of having a very slow day doing that. However, you can also go very reactive, buzz their tower with something that deflects and kicks like a big square bill, cover a ton of water so you can look at a lot of fish or have a chance to come across a lot of fish, and they just lunge. Y'all know how a reaction bite works. So it's like a cat with a laser pointer, right? They bounce. So that's probably the way I prefer to do it. Like, if I have to fish down the main lake, I can't find the creek fish around the turnover, then I get a big square bill and cover as much water as possible and grind out the bites one at a time that way. All right, that's it. That's the summer to fall transition summary right there, man. The turnover, it's known to be the worst time of year to fish. You'll hear a lot of people say that. If you had a tournament, there's a good chance you're going to see the lowest weights of the year, kind of like what we saw at the Lake Holbrook tournament, weights declining. It's not turning over yet there, but it's that summer to fall transition that we're headed towards. It's causing that. But if you take these lessons, you can still catch a bag. We should have gotten further back in Lake Holbrook the other night. I hadn't been fishing that lake. I had 3 hours to go out there and fish it. I went out for like 2 or 3 hours pre-fishing that other morning. I just didn't have enough time, and I didn't think through it, and I kind of made mistakes as far as not going, hey, let's go do this, right? And honestly, scoping is still a very viable way to go about doing things. So I got caught in the don't make your mind up, don't make the right decision thing during that tournament the other night. Me and my buddy Reed Golf both did. So no big deal. That happens to everybody. But I've seen this play out over and over and over again, where you get in the back of that creek and you catch a lot of big fish. There's not very many people on the lake. Nobody's targeting those fish in the back of that creek. And you can hammer down on them because they feel normal. They're not getting deoxygenated. They feel normal for end of summer Texas fish. We'll just say that. And this should apply to all the lakes across the South. If your lake has a thermocline and it has creek arms where you can get away from the deeper water, this should apply to your lake no matter where you are. So certainly hope this helps, man. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Thanks for watching as always, and we'll see you next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide. Oh, is he hung up on something? There he comes. There he comes. Oh, he's just a bigger fish. Oh, and he came off. And he was a biggin. Like a biggin. Oh my goodness, what just happened? That was not under the slot there, boys. I don't even know how he came off. That was dumb. Oh. Sometimes I don't like fishing very much. That's Maury Povich said that the test proved that that's a lie. Very cool. Very cool. Look at here. Get down in there, big head. Well, I'm back here at the end of the road, boys and girls. Looky there. Beautiful.
Nice Lake Fork bass right there. Kind of funky shape, got a humpback, but he's all right. He's got some meat on him. He's doing good. Back here feeding in the... Oh, that might be a big one. Get away from that grass. Get out of that mat. Just got me down in that junk. Bring him to me, Cigar. Boys, we done found us something up here. Hey, that's a dick, dude. That's getting close to an over. All right, folks. I just can't believe that I get to do this every day. It's nasty. This is my least favorite time of year when it gets this hot. It's over 100 degrees, it's about 102, 103 right now. I'm burning up, but I would not want to be anywhere else on earth, man. Lake Fork, Texas, unbelievable, unbelievable, unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Got him. Oh my goodness, it's another big one. Oh my goodness. What is going on? It's supposed to be like August and September. I don't even know what's happening right now. Good grief, son. That one's about to, did I just catch? No, I didn't catch the same fish, but dang, he's almost as big. What? What's happening right now? This is crazy, y'all. You're not supposed to come catch fish like this. Oh, they're just loaded up in this ditch, this creek channel over here. They're just stacked in there, man. It's, golly, this is incredible. Incredible. This is awesome.